All right, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Wyatt. I'm the customer success rep here at Harvest Profit, and joining me, Ben will also be on the call here today. And the idea of today is to just go over kind of a basic introduction of Harvest Profit for those who are kind of new to seeing our software, but also just a refresher on some basic budget setup things for existing customers. And then if you guys have any questions, feel free to enter them into the webinar chat or the Q&A. Additionally, please answer the poll that is out there if you have the chance for that. But just a little overview of Harvest Profit. We were established in end of 2015 and started to grow the company, and we were purchased by John Deere in 2020. Harvest Profit, we're a cost and profitability tracking software. We want to get your cost of production, your field by field and crop level profitability, so you can use that to make different decisions. Like, for example, if I want to add some more acres, or maybe I'm losing some, where can I change my farm to make up for those lost acres? Why use Harvest Profit? So we've built this tool to be easy to use for every farmer, whether you're heavily integrated in a software system like John Deere Operations Center, or maybe you've got some older equipment and you just like to track things manually. Really, we want to be versatile for every farmer out there. We do a few different things: your financial data analysis, scenarios, crop input prices. You can manage each product and by purchase. So if you enter in multiple purchases, we can calculate that average price per unit, so you don't have to go in and update your prices every time you make a new purchase. We integrate with John Deere Operations Center to import your as applied data. So any seed, chemical, fertilizer will all come into Harvest Profit, along with your yield data. And let's say at the end of the year, you even post calibrate, update your yields, things like that. Those are automatically come into Operations Center or into Harvest Profit, and keep your P&L and your production amounts up to date. Connecting equipment. So anything that you have connected to Climate Field View or John Deere Op Center, we can pull in that data. Again, any seed, chemical, fertilizer applications that have been applied to a field, we can integrate with Harvest Profit and bring in those applied amounts. Some of our key features are P&L. That's our bread and butter, as we call it. We like to give the farmer the financial oversight to their farm and to see how is their farm performing throughout the year and also at the end of the year, based on budgeted amounts and then actual applied data that you put in towards the end of the year. We do scenario analysis, making different decisions and seeing how it would affect your farm year to year or based on the decision itself. Machine data integration, grain inventory, and our newer feature, profit maps. Now, I mentioned financial oversight. So being able to basically look into your farm and say, okay, where do I sit June 1st? After all your planting is done, spraying is underway, and then, kind of seeing, do I have to market some more grain? Where is my cost of production at right now? And really what we like to tell farmers is, once you get your account set up and running, about a cup of coffee every week or 2 weeks will be enough time for you to sit down and, okay, what do my numbers look like? Even if you don't have every single detail nailed down on your farm, like down to every cent, like maybe you made a purchase in the last month that was, on the fly, you can enter that in there and see, okay, where am I sitting at now for my cost of production and my return on investment? Again, we're $1,600 a year, renew annually every year. We do a 14-day free trial. So if you're interested in getting signed up with Harvest Profit or trying out, please email us at support@harvestprofit.com, or on our website, you can sign up for a free trial there. And if you're a former demo user, you want to try it again, just reach out to us and we can get you signed up with a new demo. Again, we offer unlimited support. So any scheduled calls or emails, like we're going to get back to you right away. We want to help you get your farm set up. But our goal is to make sure that you're successful in seeing the financials of your farm. Again, a couple different ways you can reach out to us, and I will be posting these in the chat here at the end of the webinar. All right, diving into harvest profit. So like I said, we've made this easy to set up, and so I'm going to go through a basic setup of a couple fields and looking at your crops, and then maybe just getting a quick budget set up for corn we're going to do. So again, it's pretty simple to add new fields into your harvest profit. I've got some already in here, but I'll show you if you add a new field, we can do Bucks Southwest. I can add, let's just say it's one of my fields and it's a $250 acre field. I can click save. So if you have picking up more fields, it's pretty simple to add in there. After the fact, you can also integrate those and connect them with Operations Center. If you have questions on that, feel free to email us. We'll help you through that process. So getting your fields in there is the first step. So I'm just going to add a rent in here. So this is cash rent. I could also do a land payment if it's my own land. I can do that. I can also do it as a total. And additionally, we do crop shares. So if you're sharing, if you have a crop share agreement with a landlord, let's say 20, 80%, you can go in and add a landlord agreement and we could do it at a 20 or 80%. So if they're just getting 20% of the revenue, I can just enter in 20 and that will take away that part of the production and attribute it to the landlords. You can have, you can have a crop share and land costs if there's something different going on. We know that there are a few different types of crop share agreements out there. So if you have any questions on how to enter yours, let us know. So the next step after setting up your fields, we can go into the crop planner. So the crop planner is where you're going to see your fields come up and select which crop to go to. So I've already got one set up for crop. I'm going to do that new one that we created. Find it here. So Bucks Southwest, we just made 250 acre field. Now I've got a few crops in here. If you need to add more crops, you can go into the settings page down at the bottom, and there you can enter in whatever crops that you need to enter. So I'm going to select corn for this. Click save. Now I'm going to go to I'm just going to go to my inputs quick and show you, this is how you can manage your seed chemical fertilizer and any overhead costs. I've got some in here already, which we'll use. Really, you can put in any product that you have. And then any overhead costs, you can do equipment rent, repair estimate. A lot of guys, they like to take their chart of accounts from their accounting service and just kind of map some of those overhead expenses into harvest profit to kind of match up. Each of these items will show up as a line item on your P&L, which we'll look at in a little bit. But you can do crop insurance, fuel, really anything that you want to show on your P&L, you can make. We have a custom categories option. So like you see, I've got 3 of them in there already. So applications, this is kind of what I wanted to really go over today, is how to set up a simple budget. I don't have to spend a ton of time getting my account down to the nearest penny, but I can just go in and get my applications in there to see, okay, what am I going to be spending on inputs as I'm purchasing, or I'm looking at last year's inventory that kind of flowed into this year. So just being able to see what I'm putting into my fields and what it's going to cost me. So what I'll do is I'm just going to set up a basic template. So templates we can use to set up our budgets based on crop, you could do based on field, but you could also do based on application. So I can have a corn seed application that I can set up for every field with a budget price for corn. And I can additionally have a chemical application that I can do. I can do spray pass 1, spray pass 2, and I can attribute those as I need to. What I like to do to make it simple is I like to just put everything under one blanket budget. So I'm going to do corn budget. I'm just going to label it 2024. So I'm going to start adding my operations. So my first one, I'm going to do a seeding operation. And so previously I went in and entered my average corn seed. I'm at $2.30 a bag. So I'm just going to enter that in. Now, if you have your prices for different hybrids or different varieties, feel free to go put those in there. I can show you how to manually attribute those to each field. So I'm going to put in my seed. I'll just do 32,000 an acre. And then I'm going to get right into chemical here. So my chemical, actually, what I'll do, if I want to keep these separate, I'll just add another operation. That way I keep my spray pass separate from my seeding. So I'll do my chemical. Now looking through this list I've already entered. So I've got MSO, I'll put in, I'll do AMS. Now I'm looking for harness. So I've got harness here. And then I'll add 2 more, Roundup and Lotus, for example. Now I don't have those 2 in here. So we made it easy to just add those in as I'm going. So I know what I'm using. And if I already know my price is, I think it's about $3 an ounce. Making sure I'm going to use fluid ounce for this. So I can add that right in there. And as soon as I add it, it'll select it. Additionally, I need some Roundup. So I'll select Roundup. Now this list that you see, this is pulling from the John Deere Operations Center products list. There's around 80, 90,000 products that'll come up. If you don't find yours exact one, that's okay. I'll do Roundup. And it's about 30 cents fluid ounce. $0.30. See, I already made a mistake. Put $30 instead of 30 cents, but we can always change that later. So now I can go in and put in my rates. Just do this quick. Now I'll go do my fertilizer operation. So I can put down whatever I need to. Do 1500, I'll do 28, and some more AMS. So what I'm doing here is just making a budget for all of my corn crops. So any field that I set to corn, this will automatically fill out each one of those fields. And I can set that by doing the applies to down here and then selecting the applies to fields automatically based on applied crops. So I've got everything that I need in here for my corn budget. I'm going to save it. Now, as you can see, this is extremely inflated because I made a mistake, but no worries there. I can go back to my inputs page. And if I go find my Roundup, I can change this right here. Again, must have typed it in wrong there. Click save down at the bottom. So now going back to my applications and my template. See, my cornfields are now filled out with my templates. So if I look at each one of these, I can see what I'm putting down. And again, see, I made another mistake. There's two different ways I can correct this. And this happens a lot of times when you're, importing stuff, managing things each field a little differently. I can customize for each field, and I can actually do, okay, I actually put down 28 fluid ounces in here. And what this does is it essentially creates a separate application outside of the template for this field. So I got to make sure I do fluid ounces. So you can customize fields, templates for each field as you want. Just note that when I make changes to a template on a field and I retroactively go back and change the template itself, that it will not update those customized templates. And so I want to make sure that I'm doing the right units here, making some corrections. And we'll do, if I click save on this will change. So to go a little bit slower here, this will change the amount on this field because I haven't customized it. As you can see, everything's changed in here. But now if I go back to that other field, see, things have not yet updated because I customized this field. So if you want to fix that, you can always remove the template and then reapply it to give it your correct amount. Again, if you have any issues with the templates that you set up or you don't know where something's wrong, please let us know. We're happy to look into it and help you out. So the next step after setting up your applications, we want to go to your yields page so that every time you set up a new field, it'll flow into the yields page. So I'm going to do, as you can see here, last year's average. It means I averaged 140 bushels an acre for corn. I can do that, or additionally, I can just enter in an amount. And let's say I know that a field is going to underperform compared to the rest of them. I can always change it and do a little bit less. Now, our planned and actual yields, you want to do planned yield at the beginning of the year, and then at the end of the year, do your actual yield. So you can have a planned and actual amount. Additionally, you can pull in yields from Operations Center. I don't have it on this year that I'm working in, but all that data will flow in for your fields. So to stop, we'll answer a couple questions here. We got a question on input invoices and input inventory. We are talking about having different functions for tracking your input inventory. So let's say if you apply a certain amount of gallons of Roundup, how much do I have left? Our team has definitely been talking about that. It's been a pretty common request as far as when we're going to do that. We don't have a certain timeline. What we currently offer is tracking your purchases. So on our inputs page, you can do click the little shopping cart icon, and we can add multiple purchases. So if I enter in purchase something at 425, and we'll just do 1,000 tons, and then add another one at 400. Just do another 10,000. As you can see, it will change my average cost per ton. So that's what we offer right now. If you have, special requests or wondering about things like that, email us what your ideas are. We love hearing how customers are using the software, and also things that that we can do to make things better. Now, we had another question on handling dry land and irrigated crops. This kind of ties into the question of how do I track a single crop that is maybe farmed a little differently. So, for example, I can create a crop and then additionally have additional marketable crops. So down in the settings page here, I'm going to look at my corn crop. And here we can enter in multiple practices. So let's say if I market my irrigated corn and my non-irrigated corn together, I can simply add a practice. If I do irrigated corn, I'll just leave that one, just assume it's my conventional corn. I'll save this crop. So if I add it as a practice on there and I go to my crop planner, I will have the option of doing irrigated corn. So if you market things together under one crop name, that's a perfect way to do it. If you market anything separately, like so if I have two types of corn that I farm, but I market them separate, I would want to set them up as a separate crop. But otherwise, the best way to do it is set it up as a crop practice under that crop in the settings page. One more question. Recording equipment costs such as tillage, planting, harvesting. Right now, we can't assign automatically to certain applications based on like if you have integrated applications. What we can do is either on our inputs page or applications page, I can manage a tillage cost, for example, by creating a custom input category. And I'll just do tillage cost. So once I enter that custom input category, I'll be able to enter in for different crops. Let's say if I have multiple passes, I can do if I know what my cost per acre is, I can put that in on the inputs page. A pretty common way to do it, and probably the best way if you want to tie it to your applications, is on, let's say if I just go back to my templates, and again, you can do this on a field by field basis. And I want to add a tillage pass. And I will add it as a miscellaneous cost. So if I click that button, I can do tillage. I'll just do $6 an acre. And I can either assign it to any of my seed chemical fertilizer, or now that new tillage pass, I can just select that. And what this will do is it'll add a tillage pass to each one of my corn acres, right? Because I've got that box selected. And that will show up on my P&L as a line item, which we'll get to in just a minute. Last thing before we get to the P&L, you can enter in as many contracts as you want. We do several, your cash, forward, basis, hedge to arrive. We can do that hedge gain or loss based on what that comes out to be. You can do a futures and options. So for making a simple cash sale, I'm going to sell 10,000 bushels. And I'm going to be really generous to myself. I'll just do $4.50. Again, I can put in where this is going. I've got a generic elevator in here, but you can make as many contracts for however many elevators that you have. And then, of course, I'll put in my contract number. If I have any estimated basis, I can put that in there as well. Now, I also want to make sure I have the right entity selected for it. So I've got Anderson LLC, so that's mine. Now on my crop planner, I've got Anderson Farms. So I want to make sure that I'm getting my entities lined up. And we know that it's a common thing to have just different entities on your farm. You have a brother, you got an uncle, maybe you have just a business partner. If you have questions on how to get your entities set up properly, we do have an entity shares option. So if you have a split on fields, like I've got a 50-50 split on Anderson Farms, so it'll allocate those appropriately to myself and to Tim. Granted, we know some of these things can get complicated. And if you need help kind of figuring out what yours is supposed to look like, feel free to reach out. Now I'm just going to do Anderson LLC. So I've got my contract in there. It's got populated. So I've sold about 20% of my production. Getting to my P&L. So as I said, this is kind of our bread and butter. Being able to show you guys what your cost of production is, what your break evens are, how your farm needs to perform, how I can make certain different decisions based on this information. Again, I just want to go over we do our break even calculation, our average cash price. Common question is, where does this come from? Well, for marketed crops on the Chicago Board of Trade, we'll pull in the futures price for that crop. And then in addition, any grain that I have sold, I'll take at that average sold price. And then the unsold price will come at the market price, the current market price. So I can get a breakdown by clicking on my average cash price and see, okay, I sold, at 450, and then I sold, this 370 is my unsold price. So we give a breakdown of what my average cash price will be. And again, anything that I have for inputs, I will have a line item for. So I'll go to that tillage cost pass. That'll show up if I have any expenses allocated to that. We had another question on older equipment that isn't connected to John Deere Operations Center. We can integrate. So this question revolved around Climate Field View. Yes, we can integrate Operations Center with Climate Field View. There is a new tool called Data Retrieval that Operations Center can actually integrate directly with Field View and pull that data in to Operations Center. If you have questions on that, I can put that link in the chat as well. Additionally, if you have older equipment that you want to get set up, highly recommend talking to your dealers. There's some, MTG equipment out there. Getting your equipment connected to JD Link and getting that information synced as you're going throughout the year. So again, talk to your dealer, see if there's any opportunity to improve the data integration on your farm. There's another question on exporting your P&L report with the input dropdown showing. So what this question is referring to is we did add this breakdown feature where you can click into each category here, seeing, okay, what did I apply? What's the breakdown for each unit or for each product? We currently do not export this when it's expanded. It's been a common request, something that's on our list to do. So it is going to come in the future. And I just want to touch that we do crop, by field, by farm and entity breakdowns for your farm. So if I want to look at each field as a whole, okay, how did this one perform, over my other fields? Is there something that I did differently? Is there something that I could do better? Whether it's, maybe it's decreasing my cost of inputs by just 1%. We like to say if you make a 1% or a 5% change on your farm, the impact of that can be pretty large. So it's looking at different things like that. Maybe I do something to increase my yield production by 1%, 2%. Really getting to see, putting the result of what's coming off the field into a financial layer, essentially. Another question that's up is, do we have any peer groups that work on Harvest Profit best practices together? We don't have any set peer groups. We do know a few farmers that kind of talk to each other on, different things. It's something that, if there's a big interest for, um, feel free to email us and, see if anything comes of that. I know if any of you guys follow Nick Horb on Twitter. He tweets out a lot of different things that's kind of going around the ag industry. Good thing to kind of follow there. He also tweets out any updates if we're doing webinars like this, or if you follow his email chain. That's a good way to get kind of some industry updates and different information that way as well. Again, I want to emphasize that, it is, as you can see, it did not take me very long to set up a budget template for my corn crop. Granted, I'm in the software every day. You may not be, but if you take the time, to kind of just get used to how the software works in the beginning, and like I said, a cup of coffee every week, every 2 weeks. That way you can sit down and keep your mind refreshed on it. Whether if you wait 6 months to even touch it, it may take a while for some of that information to come back. But really, we want to give you that financial information to make decisions throughout the year, whether it's, like we're in February right now, kind of looking at what the weather is doing, what kind of the market outlook is. And then in like August, right before harvest starts, or the middle of wheat harvest, wherever you're at in the country, it's like, okay, this is how my yields I think are going to look. Where is my farm sitting at now? Maybe if yield estimates are down, how can I leverage the market, making marketing decisions to kind of make up for some of those losses. And again, we want to be able to take out the emotion, essentially, of making these decisions and making a informed, insightful decision to improve our farm. Got a question about the LibreCart integration. So we do integrate with LibreCart. So if you don't know, LibreCart's a grain scale software platform that you can install onto your grain carts and bring over load data piece by piece into Harvest Profit. We've had a connection with them for quite a long time. Now, if I go to my settings page and do integrations, I can connect my LibreCart here. Now, I don't have a demo account set up for this. If you need help getting your LibreCart set up, if you have any questions, again, email us and we can hop on a phone call with you and walk through that. So I'm going to put some of those links in the chat now. Again, if you guys have questions, please message in the Q&A or the chat. I'll be happy to answer anything you have. Really, that's really all I want to cover today. I just want to do that basic setup for getting your budget set up, because we know you guys are getting in. It's 2024, maybe getting some things ready for the 24 season. Again, if you're wrapping up 2023, getting your applications in there, maybe if you're integrated with Ops Center or FieldView and you have any issues getting all your data inputted correctly, we're happy to help with any of that. But really, we want to make sure that you're set up for success. That's kind of our goal here at Harvest Profit. Now, a great way to get a hold of us is scheduling a call. So we do have a kind of a new call scheduling tool. You can set up a sales or support call, or a sales or support video call. So if you like to hop on a Teams call and have us share a screen like I'm doing today, this is a great way to get that done. We also do have a document website where you can, see all of our we have a few different blog posts, some videos. So it's in our knowledge base down here at the bottom. And additionally, if you click our help button here, there's some easy links to get to. So if I want to schedule a call, or how do budgets and scenarios work, or what's the difference between crowd shares and entities, a couple things there. I can also search integrations if I want to get my integration set up, and a couple different items there. Additionally, if you just want to email us, just click the Ask tab here and enter in your info and send off your message. Our response time is typically within 15 minutes. If it's a simple fix, like, we'll get back to you and help you answer your question. If it's a bigger issue, we'll have to hop on a phone call and look into. Again, if you're new to Harvest Profit and you're interested in getting signed up with a demo, you can go to our website and sign up yourself. Or if you have any questions, you can email sales@harvestprofit.com, and one of our sales guys will get back to you there. All right, we had a request to see the marketing plan tab. This tool we designed to be pretty simple to set up trigger points for your marketing, your production. I can set different prices, and when it gets to those prices, it will send me an email alert and to see once I hit those targets. So I can set up my whole target baseline for the year for that production amount, and it'll give me kind of a breakdown of what my average price is, my profit or loss per acre. Pretty simple tool. We have a lot of guys use it. Another question on if there are different options for purchasing Harvest Profit. Right now, our only option is $1,600 a year. $1,600 a year, like I said, renews annually. We'd like to keep our prices only changed once in the last 8 years. We'd like to keep it affordable for every farmer. And again, this webinar will be posted on YouTube. I'm sure we'll send out the link here by the end of the week, but it will be available if you have any of your team members, any of your partners want to take a look at this as well. It will be available. Question on the market. So we pull from the Chicago Board of Trade. This is updated, I believe, with every 5 minutes. Ben, you can correct me if you need to, but 15 minutes. It is 50. I'm pretty sure it's 15 minutes.
Yeah, we pull the 15-minute delayed pricing, plus we update our marketing page every 10 or so minutes. So you could get a little bit more of a delay than the typical 15 minutes, but we're pulling very accurate information.
Questions on an integration. We don't integrate for anything for marketing. I know some people use a different program or they go through different service. We currently don't integrate any marketing plans. We don't plan to either. We like to just keep this tool simple, keep it in-house. So that's the answer to that. The question on maps and field view of the farm. Not quite sure what you're referring to. We do, if you're integrated with John Deere Op Center or Field View, we can bring in applied maps from a application standpoint. but we don't do any like satellite view of the farm itself. Ben, do you know if there's any, I guess we had a question on if we're adding more markets to the futures market. We currently do have, quite a few. If there's something that's not on there, but it's on the Chicago Board of Trade, you can let us know. Ben, I don't think there's anything that we plan to do anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't know of anything we're missing that we can get future market data for. If there is something we're missing, let us know.
Good question on input units. Being able to track things in different units, like if I buy a box of something, right now we do a single custom unit. I think, Ben, do we have any updates on custom units in general?
No, just that we're working on a project that'll allow more custom units in the future. So that's coming down the pipeline.
But a question on profit maps. Won't be going over profit map today. Here, I don't have a good demo amount set up. If you're interested in kind of utilizing your profit maps tool, you can give us a call. We'll hop on a call directly to look at the data that you have available. It's kind of hard with demo data. We like to just look at actual data for each individual. If you kind of want to go over that in the future, we will most likely be doing a webinar like this to go over that feature specifically. It is still profit maps. We still have it in the beta phase. We'll be done with it soon, but it's kind of still in that testing phase window. But if you're interested, send us an email or take a look on the P&L. And you can, again, you have to be integrated with John Deere Operations Center. But if you do have Climate Field View and you got map data in there, your seed chemical fertilizer, you can import that into John Deere Op Center. And then all those maps will come in into our profit maps feature through Op Center. Another question on irrigation passes. We can track irrigation passes manually. So what a lot of guys do is they'll enter in their water and electricity for each field because they'll typically have that at the end of the year. And then projecting forward, they'll just take last year's total and, kind of just depending on how the weather turns out, right? You can put in what your estimates will be. But really, the most common way is to do it as a miscellaneous cost, like I showed for tillage, basically the same way. You can make a custom input category for irrigation costs, like so. And then you can tag irrigation costs on your applications when adding that miscellaneous cost. Talking about depreciation, capital assets, you can do depreciation amounts, equipment payment amounts, rent amounts on the inputs category. So if I have, payments for my 8R, and I'm going to do 35,000 for the year, I can come in here and put that in based on my entity. I could do it based on my crops or fields. So if you have certain machinery that, let's say you only use it on edible beans. If you have an edible bean combine, I can come in here and just do my edible bean combine and attribute that only to my edible beans. Same thing if you have just different equipment for different crops, you can attribute those appropriately, and they will be spread out across those crop acres essentially. Or if I just do all fields and all crops, it'll just be over 100% of my acres. It'll be spread out. Creating your work plans or your application plans for the year. Currently, don't push anything into Op Center. What we do for applications, if you want to make your budget plan, I can actually export an operator PDF. So if I have an application plan with my budget templates, or with my actual, if you have actual plans for each field, I can do an operator PDF, and essentially it'll create a PDF report of the applications without the cost and numbers tied to them. So it keeps that amount private, but it gives you a report to give to your operators. Again, that's on the applications page, and I can select whatever fields and do an export to operator PDF. Now, to fully answer the depreciation question, some guys will do just their annual depreciation. Sometimes it'll be a little different from your tax depreciation. It just kind of depends on what you want to do. Guys will take the life of the equipment and spread it out over 5 years. It really just depends on how you want it to affect your P&L. But there are a couple different ways you can do it, all on the inputs page, just by changing just changing the amounts here in the payments and depreciation category. Good question on handling financing costs. If you're doing a lease, if you're doing like lease payments, you can enter it in as the whole lease payment. A lot of guys, they'll actually separate out the interest versus the actual payment amount, or that's applied to the payment. So they'll have, let's just say, lease payment, and they'll do the total payment here. And then they'll actually have, an additional category for their interest. Ben, did you have any additional thoughts on handling financing costs?
So I'm standing in the airport now, so I got a lot of background noise. But we have guys there's a lot of different ways to track it. We'll probably do some more content on this later on, but we do, a lot of people look at the principal versus the interest as different. Like they'll look at interest as being the expense plus depreciation and leave the principal out, and then they'll attribute a cost to that equity, that ownership. But realistically, we'll have a lot more coming on this as we release our equipment cost feature here in the next couple of months. We'll have a lot of conversation regarding that.
Quick note on custom input categories. You can change the custom categories. The default categories, we cannot change. But if you go to the settings page down at the bottom and you go to the inputs tab, you can change all of your custom input categories. You can also rearrange them here. So if I want to move my tillage up to the top, or my crop insurance up to the top, I can do that. All of that on, again, the settings page down at the bottom and the inputs tab. You can also delete them here, manage them there as well. Again, thank you guys for all of your questions. If you haven't entered, if you haven't filled out the webinar poll, please do if you can. So we had a question on break-even cost of production and calculation, and how that exactly works. If you want kind of a breakdown of those calculations, you can send us an email to support@harvestprofit.com, and we can give you kind of a more detailed run through about how the software works. We are going to be doing a webinar here in the future that kind of just goes through in a little bit more technical fashion and just how the software works. But if you kind of want to learn more just about how Profit works and performs, we can go over that through an email or through a phone call. We do handle multiple years. Like the whole idea of Harvest Profit is to give you financial insight into your crop season. So a lot of guys are managing things from a tax year basis, cash year basis. So January 1st through December 31st, all my numbers are coming in and out, but I'm, buying inputs in 23, applying them in 24, and then I'm selling, making contracts while I'm in 23, but it's for the year 24, right? So it kind of gets kind of confusing. Our software is built to handle all of that. I can do crop years. I can go all the way back as far as I want. If I want to project forward into 25, 26, if I know what my crop plans are going to be, you can set that up at any time. I actually did have one customer last year sign up, and he entered in about 7, 8 years of data that he had, because he had all that data recorded in an operations center, so he wanted to utilize that. So yeah, we're very capable of looking at the past, even if you're signing up today. With that, we're kind of at the end of the hour. Thanks everyone for attending. If any questions come up after the fact, can't say it enough times, please email us. We're happy to talk with you, to answer any questions, or even if you have different ideas, we love getting those things bounced off us. So just let us know what your thoughts are. Hope you've enjoyed the webinar today. Again, we're going to be doing a few more of these. So if you have any thoughts or any things you want us to focus on, we're happy to hear those ideas. So again, thanks to everybody. Please look at the links I put in the chat. We have our email and our call page listed there. And again, all that is also listed in our help button on the bottom right-hand corner of your page in Harvest Profit. And again, thanks to everybody for attending. Look forward to seeing you guys in the future.